The African American Legend series highlights the accomplishments of blacks in areas as varied as politics, sports, aviation, business, literature, religion, and community development. We'll explore how African Americans have succeeded in areas where they've been previously excluded because of segregation, racism, and lack of opportunity. I'm your host, Dr. Roscoe C. Brown, Jr., and with us today is George Morris, who's Vice President and Area Manager for Phipps Houses Services, one of the oldest developers of nonprofit housing in this great city of New York. Welcome to African American Legends, George.
Thank you, Dr. Brown.
Well, you've been with Phipps for 15 years, and Phipps has been around for over 100 years.
Yes.
Tell us a little about the concept of Phipps, how it started, and what it does.
Phipps is an organization that started 100 years ago, as you just mentioned. The concept of Phipps is to provide housing, affordable housing for homeless and low to moderate income family. And we have been successful in doing that in Manhattan and Brooklyn and the Bronx.
Now, Henry Phipps was a steel magnate. He was a colleague of Andrew Carnegie, and he founded the first Phipps Houses back in 1905, I believe it was, and he was there right near where Lincoln Center is now. As a matter of fact, one of those original buildings is probably still there. And he, like Carnegie, who founded the great Carnegie Foundation, really felt that people who had wealth should give back. And the whole concept of Phipps Houses is to make housing available for modest income families. Now, you and your job, what is your job specifically?
My job entails managing a series of property in the Bronx. Mm-hmm. Those are all low-income housing, mm-hmm. Section 8 low-income housing, and I manage a series of them. Day-to-day operational management of the property. And it really enthused me to serve my resident.
Now, low income, according to Obama, is now below 200,000. But actually, what really is the level for low income in your buildings?
Well, low income are people who are within the range of 20 to 34,000 will consider low income.
From 20 to 34?
Yes.
And it depends on the size of the family.
Absolutely.
Now, those folks all have to have a source of income, whether it's public assistance or rehabilitation or a job.
Yes, they have to. And then we assist them as far as the social part of the program, as providing literacy programs. We provide family service program for them. We provide programs for seniors in our building, just to make them feel that we really care.
Now, Cortona Park is in the Bronx, just south of the Cross Bronx Expressway. It's an area where there'd been a lot of deterioration, abandoned buildings, and Phipps decided they were going to buy these buildings and rehabilitate them. So how many buildings are in Cortona Park, and how many tenants are there?
We have 21 buildings combined. That starts from 170th Street all the way to the south, the Cross Bronx. And we have 563 units in this building combined. And I manage the day-to-day operation of the buildings.
Mm-hmm. Now, what does the day-to-day operation consist of?
It consists of servicing our residents, service calls, collecting rent, dealing with them on a day-to-day basis, their needs. That's my primary function.
What about things like cleanliness and heat and so on? That falls under you too?
That falls right in my performance.
Now, I've been to the Cortona Park houses, and they're extremely well kept. And it defies the stereotype that low-income people can't keep up their housing. How do you get the tenants to cooperate with you in keeping the place so beautiful?
That is exactly what I stand for. I love what I do, and I love the company I work for. And the tenants there has been with me for 15 years, and they know exactly what my level of acceptance is when it comes to the building cleanliness. The tenants really, I educate them to make sure that we are there to serve them. And I make them also understand that you are here this is your home to raise your family. but they also take the initiative in helping us as far as keeping the building clean. I mean, I don't ask them to sweep the building or mop the building, but they take pride in the building because I have put that pride in them.
Now, many of them are low income. Like, is it a mixed income building? Do you have some above low income in your buildings?
Yes, we do. We have working family. We have tenants who are on Section 8. We have tenants who are on welfare.
Now, what is Section 8 for the audience?
Section 8 is a program which pays subsidy to the tenants' rent.
It's a federal program.
It's a federal program. So these tenants, some of them are homeless and come with a voucher, or Section 8 voucher to Cortona Park West, and we take them in. And you'd be amazed at people from the shelter that come to this building and take pride into the building because we show how we care for our building.
Now, one of the things that many people say is when you have homeless people, you put them all together, and that might not be a good idea, but I understand at Cortona Park you distribute them throughout the development.
Yeah, I totally disagree with that. Tenants from the shelter are good tenants, I must say. They come to the property, they see, it depends on the management. What the management put in is what the tenants are going to put in. If you don't show concern, they are not going to take care of the building. Management has to show, and we show that to them. We show them that we do care, not just signing a lease and walking away from us, but we show them that we do care. So they also put an initiative in the building as well.
Well, one of the things about being poor, many people don't grow up to want to be poor. There are circumstances that cause them to be, sometimes the loss of a job, sometimes lack of skills. And one of the things Phipps Houses tries to do, I understand, is to help the tenants to develop the skills that make them better parents, better citizens, better workers. What are some of those programs?
That's exactly what Phipps Community Corporation, the development program comes in. Phipps has a CDC program which takes initiative in offering literacy program to tenants, seniors program, after school program, and it's a whole range of programs that we offer our residents. And they take the opportunity in taking those programs and enhancing it. And it helps them to develop and enhance their family as well.
Could you give an example of one of those programs?
For example, the literacy program. Adults are being brought in to the property, and then they do computer literacy program with the adults, give them education program as far as getting a GED, and it helps them to be self-sufficient.
Now, are these programs done on site, or are they done in neighboring communities or schools, or what?
They are done at the site.
On the site?
Yes, and also to add is that we also reach out to the community as well, not just our residents, but we also reach out to the community as well. So the program is expanded. We reach out to the community that we are in, try to help them to enhance their education skill, their academic skill, as far as helping them do, even in the transitional building, we do have daycare center where we care for these family children where they go out to find jobs.
Now, this is an interesting philosophy, and it goes back to the Henry Phipps's philosophy of helping low-income people to improve themselves and maintain the quality of life. Now, Phipps Houses has several units. There's the overall Phipps Houses Corporation, but then there's the Phipps Houses Services, where you're a vice president, and then there's the Phipps Houses Community Development Corporation that provides these services. In addition to managing the buildings like Cortona Park, what else does Phipps Houses Services do?
Phipps Houses Services service the day-to-day operation of the building. Of course, we have a social service department as well, who also reach out to the tenant, like the transitional program at one of our buildings, where we have people coming from homeless, they're homeless and they're coming into transitional, in a transitional building where we find them permanent affordable housing. And we have people on site who really counsel them, who really help to find permanent housing for them.
Now, you say a traditional building. There's a building that people come in and live for a certain period of time and then move to another building?
Yes, sir. They come in, live, they're on average for like about 6 to 9 months. Why we are finding them permanent housing.
In Phipps or in the community?
In Phipps. We have two buildings. One is a Lee Goodwin houses, and another one is Sojourner Truth houses, which we have transitional tenants in there that come from the Department of Homeless Services. They come in, and then we'll help them to find permanent affordable housing.
Now, if somebody's watching this program and they say, look, I have a housing problem, how do I get involved? What are the eligibility criteria? Who do I contact? How does that work?
Okay, well, we have a waiting list that's established. That's one thing. We have a waiting list that's established. If it's a new construction, we run the ad in the paper, and then they respond to the ad, and then HPD does supervise the.
Now, you say run the ad in the paper. That they run it in the Daily News, the Times, the Amsterdam News, the El Diario.
Yes.
So they cut the range of people in the city, and they announce that these vacancies are available.
Right.
Now, what then does the person have to do?
The person fill out the form, send it to us, and then we send an application, and the application goes to the Postal Service, and then when the application is accumulated, then we take the application back to the property, and then HPD supervises the opening of the applications, because in an effort to make sure that the process is just and fair, HPD is there to supervise the opening of the application, and they are numbered. Numbered. They are numbered, and then we then schedule interview for these tenants, especially when they have to meet a certain AMI, which is the average median income plus family size, to be assigned to an apartment.
Now, when they look at these applications, they look to see what the size of the family is.
Correct.
They look to see whether they have employment. They look to see what their income is.
That's correct.
Now, if they don't have a job, how do you document their income?
If they don't have a job, usually when a person is public assistant, if a person is a public assistant, we assist them to get subsidy. Okay, and we'll go through the process of probably going to NYCHA,
NYCHA is what
New York City Housing Authority, and to obtain voucher for them. If they don't have income.
Now, when they apply for the voucher, what do they have to do? What do they have to say?
Well, they go to New York City Housing Authority and apply for the voucher, and then it takes some time for the voucher to be processed. So we help them in the process as far as making telephone calls, calling their workers, and we take initiative to help them.
Now, if someone applies, there are a lot of people applying, so there's a waiting list, I assume. Is that correct?
Yes. After the selection of the primary tenant who does qualify for the apartment, we then take the remaining application. They are put on a waiting list.
Put them where?
On a waiting list.
Okay.
Okay. The remaining application are put in numerical order on the waiting list as we documented them in numerical order on the waiting list. So when an apartment becomes vacant, we'll go to that waiting list and obtain.
Now, what establishes their position on the waiting list? The time when they applied, the size of the family, or what?
We'll open the application. The application are numbered numerically. Okay. So when we have made our selection to fill up the building, the remaining applications are put in a waiting list. So when an apartment becomes vacant, we'll go to the waiting list and then call the next person in line.
Now, how long is the waiting list active?
Well, we'll keep the waiting list for like about 3 years.
So sometimes somebody might apply, let's say in 2009, and they might get an apartment in 2010 or 11?
Well, it's possible before then.
Now, but the point I'm raising is that you have a good program here, and people will hear about it, and I'm sure after the show you'll get lots of inquiries.
Right.
And given the housing shortage here in New York City, there must be thousands of people who are on the waiting list.
Yes, especially at Crotona Parkways. We have thousands of applicants right now.
Thousands
on the waiting list, and that's one of the reasons why I take pride in Crotona Park West. The building is about 18 years old, and nobody wants to move out because it's the services that we provide to them. You know, so that really makes me feel good, especially when I wake up in the morning and come into work and serve people who are satisfied.
Let's say I've been living there for 15 years and I get a raise in salary. Do I have to move?
No, you don't have to move.
What do you do? Pay more rent?
Well, what it is at Crotona Park, we do annual recertification. When your income has decreased or increased, you report it to the management office. And then we'll do an interim recertification and find out if, in fact, your rent is going to go up a few dollars or go down. But there's going to be an increase or a decrease.
Now, in today's climate, many people are losing their job. And if someone loses their job and they live in Crotona Park, and let's say the rent is $1,000, what do you do to help them?
This is what we do. We have an in-house stipulation put in place.
Have a what?
In-house stipulation.
Okay.
That's a unique part of what Phipps does. If a tenant is behind on their rent, especially a tenant in good standing, we'll try to work with them. There's no reason for me to take you to court, knowing that I'm going to be spending money to give it to an attorney. So what we'll try to work with them to go into a payment plan with them in-house before going to court. And that works for us.
Now, do you ever have to process where they have the money deducted from their salary, or they pay you directly?
They pay me directly. What we'll do an in-house stipulation, and what they come to the office, they sit with me, and I go through the process, do the in-house stipulation. I tell them, look, I want you to tell me how much you can pay me monthly to reduce this amount. And they tell me, it's like going to court. Sit and do our stipulation in-house, and they comply with it.
Now, of course, you described the most sympathetic way of being a landlord and a developer, which, of course, is the mission of Phipps as a nonprofit organization. How many tenants actually live in Crotona Park?
Tenants right now, we have 563 units. And right now, I got a vacancy for like about 7 vacancies. So that tells you. That tells you what we do. And
so the total number of residents might be 3,000 or 4,000?
At Crotona Park West?
Yeah.
No, Crotona Park West, the total unit is 563 units.
Is what?
563.
Units, but how many people does that translate to?
Because, you're talking about the household and combined.
Yeah.
I would say probably 2,000.
So it's a really an integral community.
Yes.
And is there a community center there as well?
There's a community center.
And what do they do in the community center?
We're social events. We have social events that they have. We make the family to feel livable. We make them to feel at home. So we have a community center where when they want to have social events, they have their little social event, birthday, graduation. We let them have the social event in those community centers.
Now, citywide, how many units is Phipps responsible for?
Right now, it's 13,613 units.
That's a lot of. I believe Phipps is the largest developer of nonprofit housing in the city.
Yes,
is that correct?
Yes.
And what are some of the new projects that Phipps has in mind? Now, you say that you're in Manhattan. I know there's been Phipps Plaza South in Manhattan, and then you're in Brooklyn, and you're in Queens with Sunnyside Garden.
Yes.
Are you in Brooklyn or are you in the Bronx?
I'm in the Bronx.
In the Bronx. Phipps is not in Brooklyn.
Phipps is not in Brooklyn right now. We are in Queens, Manhattan, and the Bronx.
Now, what are some of the new units? Because I know that Phipps is developing units every year.
Yeah, we are doing something right now called the Cortland Corners, where Cortland Corners is in place. And
that's in the Bronx.
That's in the Bronx. And that's going to be part of my responsibility as well. And there's another one called Roscoe Brown's apartment right behind my office. That's going to be part of my response. Those are new projects that we just we are undertaking right now.
Now, what are the qualifications to get into those kind of projects?
Those kind of projects, we will again run the ad in the paper. We'll have people respond to the ad. And then we'll send applications.
What are the qualifications? Do they have to be homeless? Do they have to be low income, or there's mixed income?
It depends on the family average median income and their family size. That's how we determine whether a person qualifies.
Because I know some of the units in the city are mixed units, a certain percentage for low income, certain percentage for working class families, and a certain percentage for the homeless.
Yep.
Is that the way those projects are going to be developed as well?
No, but these projects will be 100% tax credit. So it depends on the family average median income and the family size. That's how they'll be qualified. That's how they're going to qualify for.
Now, you use some inside jargon. You use 100% tax credit. Explain to us what that means.
Well, tax credit is a program. It's a subsidy program that we have, and that subsidizes.
The people who invest get low-income housing tax credit.
That's correct.
Which helps the people who invest with their taxes and provides money to build the housing for low-income families.
Well, the people who invest want to get a tax credit.
They get the tax credit.
Right.
And the people who apply have to be low income.
Absolutely.
And what constitutes the standard for low income?
Is the average income level. They got the average medium income level. The person is a chart that we use. Okay, and then plus depending on the family size, the person qualifies.
For example, if you have a family of 5, what would be the average income that they could qualify with?
Average income would be probably about 42,000, not to exceed.
Not to exceed 42,000. Now, what is the lowest income where they can qualify?
Depending on the family size. It depends.
Let's say again, a family of 5.
Probably about $20,000+.
Right. Now, this is very interesting because let's say I'm in a family where I'm only making $18,000. What do I do for housing?
Well, it depends on the family size, especially.
But if I'm a family of 5 and I make 18,000, you say the cutoff is 24, but I still need a house. How do I get housing?
But with Phipps Houses, you see, these are government agencies that we're dealing with. We cannot.
You're not making the decision. I know that.
Okay.
But in terms of housing policy, that's what we're driving at here. Clearly, Phipps Houses is doing a great job, and you're doing a great job. But there is a place where some people can't even qualify with 24,000 or 22,000. What happens to those people in our society?
Well, that's an excellent question, Dr. Brown. So most people like those probably end up in shelter.
That's what I thought.
Probably end up in shelter. So,
But then they're in the shelter, and then Phipps does take families from the shelter. Now, those families from the shelter who below that income, or let's say 24, can you take them? Or is there a special program for people who just come from the shelter?
Yes, a special program for people who come from the shelter. When they go in the shelter, we assist them. We have people on site who assist them to get permanent, affordable housing. In the process of doing so, we also help them to get subsidy from New York City Housing Authority. While they're in there, the duration of them being in the shelter is from 6 to 9 months. Within that time frame, we try to get them subsidy. So when they get subsidy, at times I take them into my building as well.
Well, you as a manager, vice president, treat them like family. It comes across very well as you talk and so on. What led you to get into this business? Why did you get into this?
Dr. Brown, I like to serve.
You like people.
I like people. I like to serve. And Crotona Park was where I've been for 15 years. I've had families that I've inherited, and it's like we are like family together. Okay, the neighborhood. All the children on our block knows who I am. The parents know who I am. And we work with them. We work with them to make them feel that we are here for you. Not just signing a lease and walking away from us. Our job is to enhance the community and our residents as well.
Now, what about recreation in that community? Because the Bronx is known for having good recreation programs, the park department and some of the voluntary groups. What other groups do you work with in providing recreation for your residents?
Well, Phipps Community Development handles a lot of those with different organizations in the community. The after-school program, summer camp that they take with.
In other words, they work with, let's say, the Department of Education. They work with the Parks Department.
Correct.
They work with some of the other voluntary groups, the Boys and Girls Clubs, the Y. Now, how do your residents find out about that?
Phipps Community Development reached out to them.
What do they do? Send them letters?
Send them letters.
Posters, or they
send them
have
letters.
meetings?
Yes, have meetings. Would have regular meetings. They send them. There's a constant communication between Phipps Community Development and the resident.
Now, Stephen Tosh is the president of Phipps Community Development. Does he have a person specifically assigned to Crotona Park West?
Yes, we have resident specialists that's on the site, that outreach coordinators. I mean, we have people on the site that really reach out to the tenant, to inform them of what's coming up, what's in the pipeline. They reach out to them.
Well, how do they relate to you? Do they work with your office, or you work every day?
We work together every day. I mean, there are issues. I mean, the office of Phipps Community Development is right next to mine, so we work like as a team to serve our residents.
Now, if anyone wants to contact Phipps Houses, what phone number should they contact?
They can contact 212-243-9090, or they can visit our website at www.phippsny.org.
Okay, thanks, George. Today on African American Legend, we've been talking with a very exciting person about a very important issue, housing for a low-income population. We've been talking with George Morris, who's Vice President from Phipps Houses Services. Thanks for being with us today, George.
Thank you, Dr. Brown.